at Fenway Park. And it is currently the top of the fifth inning. The Mariners with a 4-2 lead over the Bo Sox. Mitch Garver with a 2-run double in the top of the first. And Alex Bregman is 2 for 2 on the day with a solo home run and an RBI single. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. Danny and Dusty. Weekdays noon to 3 on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan. This is the week for the Jimmies and the Joes.
Thought about taking a little person into the backfield and throwing them over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, in short yardage situations. Now, there are several issues with this, in that it's not legal at all.
This is a Draft Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Get $2,000 off a new energy-efficient system now through May 31st. Call or visit aeheatingandcooling.com.
You can't just sit there and just say, all right, we're just going to throw him over the top. Is this like a read play where you're trying to figure out where he go, like where the weak spot is, and then you toss him over?
Yeah, do you go over center? Do you go over guard or tackle?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a
direct
read play.
Direct snap to
Are
the
we talking
back.
a sweep?
Draft Week with Danny and Dusty on 1080 The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey, welcome in. Happy Thursday and happy draft day
Hey.
to all that celebrate, which is everybody, because this is America.
Holy catfish!
That's right, Steve Rabel. That's right. Holy catfish. I was thinking about this today. We get lost in all of the draft process, like nitpicking guys, where guys are good, what their weaknesses are, what's the best fit for them and the team, coaching. Boy, we forget that this is the biggest day of their lives.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome, too.
it is.
Yeah.
The emotion of it all is super cool. And
Yeah.
like for everybody that talks about how much they hate Roger Goodell, every single one of those guys loves that guy on that stage.
Yeah, at that time.
Yeah.
At that moment. And he will be getting booed before your name gets called. Then there will be cheers, and then they will boo him again.
Yeah.
But
That's
in that moment,
The cycle.
you are happy with him. The amassed people in Green Bay, Wisconsin will be happy for you. It's a really awesome thing.
Oh, they'll be really happy for you, don't you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, get the spotted cow.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink that up.
Oh, just going to squeeze right past you here.
Yeah.
Get some cheese curds.
Can I get
Listen
some
to,
ranch?
are they going to have polka music?
I think I gotta have something, right? I mean, are they gonna drop a cheese ball on you? It's something.
Maybe. I have the walkout music for the draft prospects.
Oh, you get to pick your own walkout music now?
Yeah, they've been doing this for a couple of years.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I usually watch it on mute, so
Gunna is having a big year.
yeah, of course.
That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm coming out with.
I'm going to say I don't know who that is.
Oh. Well, you should listen to some Gunna.
Yeah,
I think I only know one song
I
of
think
his.
I might have
Hot.
two on my playlist.
But we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 players are coming out to Gunna.
How much Drake do we have?
1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kendrick.
Shamar Stewart is coming out to Forever by Drake.
Mm.
Well, you know what?
No Kendrick.
No Kendrick Lamar.
Oh wow.
No Kendrick Lamar. Not very many West Coast guys at the draft
Yeah,
this
this
year.
fair.
You know, I'm looking. Tetro McMillan, I think, might be the only West Coast guy that's out there, and he is coming out to "Thank You, Lord" by somebody I don't know,
Oh.
and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name.
Is it island name?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a gospel, Polynesian gospel.
Okay.
Is what I'm gathering here. Lil Wayne's got 2 right above it. Will Campbell coming out to Lil Wayne, very Louisiana of him.
Louisiana.
Yeah. Travis Hunter's coming out to "Let It All Work Out" by Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is his buddy. Will be sitting with Travis Hunter
That's so weird.
in the green room.
That's so weird.
He was at the Heisman ceremony with him.
I know. I mean, Lil Wayne's our age.
Yeah, he is.
Imagine if you had a 21-year-old friend.
Right?
It's weird. I don't care how famous
well,
they are. That's weird.
I have one. Yeah, I'll call him a friend.
You're
I coached with him.
you're going to the green room with him.
No,
Yeah.
no.
That's what I mean. It's a little weird.
But I'm going to his wedding.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're there. You're not there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It'd be
He's a
one
good
thing,
dude.
It's one thing for Lil Wayne to go to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get a private little hookup,
Mm-hmm.
be there
Yeah.
for the after party, all that.
But it appears that Lil
the
Wayne is
table?
a hanger-on to Travis Hunter, which is a
Yeah.
weird move.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Yeah.
I don't really understand this.
This one doesn't make sense to me. Rod Wave has 2 guys coming out to his songs. He's more like R&B, isn't he? Rod Wave. Malachi Starks, Get Ready, and then Cam Ward coming out to Rod Wave. Rod Wave will be the first person that we hear.
I think Rod Wave, he might be a Florida guy.
Yep. Sounds about right. Yeah. The names of guys that are going to be at the draft, though, I don't know if all of them will be drafted today.
Yeah, St.
So-
Petersburg.
Do they play the music on day 2 for you? Like Jalen Milroe is at the draft. If Jalen Milroe does not get drafted today, is he getting second round walkout music?
I really like how you almost went Jalen Milroe, like you were going full Lil Wayne.
Yeah. No, he's coming out to Rich Homie Quan.
R.I.P.
Yep. But if he doesn't get drafted, what is he going to do? Is he going to Aaron Rodgers this thing and just sit all day long and then have to come back the next day? Somebody had to do that recently. They had to come back for day 2.
Yeah.
Was it Levis?
Maybe.
No, he was just no. You're right. He was the first quarterback taken in the second round.
Yeah. But there's a couple guys where I'm like, I have not seen you.
Nobody really cared though because he brought Duddy back,
What?
his smoking hot girlfriend.
Duddy?
I can't remember her first name. Duddy was her last name.
I have no idea. No.
Mm.
I was out on him when he said mayonnaise and milk.
I mean,
or mayonnaise and coffee.
he did
He
get
was
them.
second round, 33rd pick.
Yeah.
Mm.
He did get the national Mayo ad for a whole season, or was that 2 years?
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Been on that, yeah.
I mean, that probably paid him as much as his NFL contract.
But it wasn't best food, so it doesn't count.
What was it? Was it Hellman's?
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
That's
Hellmann's
the same.
mayonnaise.
They're the same brand. Just depends on what side of the country you're on.
Well, it says Hellman's on all the commercials, so it's like Carl's Jr. thing.
Yeah,
The
Carl's
Hardee's.
Jr. and Hardee's. Yeah. Yep.
I learned that right now
Mhm.
from you.
Yep.
Hellman's and Best Foods are the same thing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Why don't they just go under one brand?
It's like Albertsons and Kroger now. It's all the same. Or no, I'm
Well,
sorry,
all the Albertsons are
sorry,
Safeways.
Not Albertsons. Fred Meyer. Fred Meyer's Kroger.
Well, everything
Yeah,
is
so
Kroger
it's
now.
QFC and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Albertsons one fell through.
Yeah.
They didn't want a monopoly,
They're all Safeways now.
which is weird.
Yeah. Local grocery stores gone. Or not totally gone. But they are few and far between.
Yeah,
the
we
old
look
local grocery.
the Thriftway in Newburgh comes in handy because it's locally owned with
Independently
24-hour
owned.
service.
See, you got to go small. Yeah, you got to go small
Mhm.
town if you're
Yep.
going to have that Thriftway action.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they lost the one in Garden Home like 2 years ago. The one in
Bales.
Wilsonville went
Mhm.
away. Is the
Bales that
well, Bales said that I think that was a Garden Home and also the Cedar Mill,
yeah,
Yeah.
no, they were different. The Garden Home one was different.
or was that Lambs?
Lambs.
that was Lambs. That was
Okay.
what Lambs had the one in Wilsonville, the one in
Garden
Beaverton,
Home. And then Bales was over
yeah.
by Cedar Mill.
Mhm.
Yeah, those are got best bakeries though. Those Thriftways had the best bakeries.
Oh my God!
That's where we got our wedding
I was
cake.
just saying,
Was that
so did
Bales
I.
Thriftway?
Yeah, no, there was no better place in like a 200-mile radius to get a wedding cake.
Mhm.
I worked at the one in Wilsonville, and I'd go over there to the bakery, and they had a woman that had been doing it for like 35 years. She was incredible, and I was like, why don't you go somewhere like fancy, like go to like a crazy expensive cake shop, and make a bunch of money? She's like, I just like doing it.
Just passion, love of the game, love the game,
I
man.
mean, I would sit there and watch them sometimes, like, and be like, this is incredible. I can't draw a stick figure. You know, you're over here like drawing art with frosting.
Frosting. Yeah,
It was
looks like they should be
nuts.
on Cake Boss. Remember that show?
Yeah.
What was his name? Buddy?
Buddy Velastro.
You went last name. I'm proud of you. Look at the big brain on Russ today.
'Cause you had
Golly,
him-
you're
it's
sharp.
him and who was the other guy? The big cake dudes. Duff.
All I know is Buddy.
I'm
And
running out of
all of
Duff's
his
name.
cakes looked like they tasted terribly because it was all of what was it, the golly.
I'd love to save you here, but I know what you're going for.
Fondant?
Fondant.
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 Yes.
It's and that stuff is not good.
No.
And he just
It's for
plaster the
looks,
cake with
yeah.
it. Yeah, it would look okay,
Mhm.
but it was just like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
By the way, Duff Goldman.
Sure, yeah, Duff Goldman.
I'm a
Duff
great-
Man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of right there. I was going to go Barney from The Simpsons. No, I'm much more of a Great British Bake Off or Bake Show. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's my jam.
Man. All right. Well, we got a lot of people talking grocery stores that have closed down, and look, bring back the old school grocery store. Margins are ridiculously tiny,
Non-existent.
slim though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one too. A lot of those small town grocery stores, they also have like the liquor store grandfathered in.
Yeah.
They got that out in Banks. Yeah,
there's
little
one-
Jim's Thriftway.
I'm still not quite sure how that worked out at QFC, but I'm not complaining.
There's
They all got grandfathered in,
Yeah.
dude. It used to be a thing. Not anymore. Like I remember you used to have like grocery store and movie rentals you could get.
Yeah.
That was great.
it was incredible. You kidding
With the
me?
little tabs.
Yeah, you could Albertsons, man. I used to hop on the bike, ride my bike down there, and go rent a movie.
Yeah, these kids just don't know anymore.
Mm.
All right. Well, let's get to the NFL draft. We got a lot of draft stuff that we got to get to today.
Oh no, we don't.
It's going to be a wild draft because the one thing that tells me it'll be just bonkers, every single newsbreaker in the NFL is dead silent right now.
Either they're sitting on something or they got nothing because everybody's buttoned up
And
shop.
the last thing that all of them have said is that people are willing to trade up and trade down because every single team has got their pick in the first round. So there's going to be teams that are willing to wheel and deal. I'm here for it. Let's
Makes it interesting.
freaking go. We got a lot of NFL draft stuff that we need to get to today. The NBA playoffs continued last night. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got some physical series between the Rockets and the Warriors. And the other two games were, except for the comments coming out. All three of the games
Ooh.
last night had some spiciness
Yes, they did.
to come out of it. So we got NBA playoffs to get through. But where we got to start, the NFL draft starts in 4 hours, 46 minutes, and 55 seconds from right now, according to ESPN. So I'm going to take their word for it.
There you
They're airing that draft. Trades are going to be all over the place. Which teams are going to be jockeying for the most position? We're already starting to get the nuggets being dropped by the newsbreakers early this morning. Will we see it actually happen? Danny and Dusty on the Fan. NFL draft right around the corner, about a little over 4.5 hours away from the first pick going off the board. It will be Cam Ward, former Coug, Miami Hurricane, incarnate word, whatever they are. What is?
I got nothing for you.
It's a bird.
They're just the word.
It's a bird of some sort.
The bird is the word.
I don't know. But the 3 college quarterback. There's going to be...
More of those.
What do you got?
Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I like a good cardinal.
That's good.
I mean, incarnate word, cardinal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It works.
it works.
It has a almost it's teetering on alliteration there.
I mean,
you know?
they churched it up a little bit.
Yeah. But Cam Ward is going to be one of what could be 2 quarterbacks that have played at 3 different colleges drafted. Because Tyler Shuck went Oregon, Texas Tech, Louisville. Then you have
Also, cardinal.
Jackson Dart, who went to 2 colleges. I mean, we are in a world of two schools. Going to be your norm.
If Keaton Slovis had figured it out, he would have had, what, 4?
Yeah.
Tyler Shuck committed to Oregon in 2017 when
Yeah.
Willie Taggart was the coach.
We are going to find out.
Holy
You know what they're going to
crap.
say about Tyler Shuck today or tomorrow when he's drafted? Tomorrow when he's drafted. They're going to bring out his mom was a high-level softball player.
Oh.
Then we're all be like, oh, no way. You know?
Kevin Love's from Lake Oswego.
Yeah, he's from Lake Oswego. But then you have Shedeur Sanders, 2 colleges. I mean,
Yeah.
all
think
these guys are bouncing around.
Yeah, unless
Dylan Gabriel
Hell.
with 3.
Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers, 2. But Texas, Ohio State, back to Texas.
Yeah.
Like this is the world that we're going to be living in probably forever with the transfer portal.
What's his name? Syracuse quarterback.
Kyle McCord.
Yeah, McCord.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Syracuse.
2 schools. Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are starting at big schools.
And
that's the thing.
Yeah, and Kyle McCord got run out of Ohio State, and now Will Howard will be another 2-school guy too, Kansas State to Ohio State. Like this is the world we live in. But anyways, Cam Ward will be the number 1 pick. It appears by all accounts Travis Hunter will be the 2nd overall selection. And then it's a crapshoot, man. Nobody really knows what is going to happen because all of the reports are from, and even Cleveland is willing to listen to the calls and are taking calls, but you are going to see every team willing to move up or down from there on out and see kind of what is going to be available to them because this draft is a little bit weird and it's going to benefit teams that identify their needs effectively, and you can get whatever you want in this draft because it's deep in starters. It's not deep on stars this year.
And if you can maximize that, I mean, that's where good teams shine, is their ability to, I mean, the one that I go to is the Raiders a couple years ago under Mayock reaching twice with Farrell and Leatherwood, 2 players that nobody else in the league had anywhere close to their draft slots. And it set them back years. And if you're not able to, it's not just missing on draft picks, it's value of draft picks and slots and understanding that you're getting the most potential. Like, I don't want to boil this down to the analytics of it all, but it really is. Like, if you look at holistic team building, you have to get X amount of value from Y amount of draft slot. And if you're not getting it in one spot, you have to make up for it somewhere else because the overall talent value of your roster has to reach a certain point. And if you're consistently missing that, which bad teams do because they reach for needs as opposed to getting the best talent crop, you find yourself behind the 8 ball, which is why good teams like the Lions and the Eagles and the Chiefs are what they are, is because they've just hit, obviously quarterback helps, but you just hit home run after home run after home run because you're not reaching.
Well, both of those teams, when you talk about the Eagles and the Lions, they don't have a quarterback that anybody is saying the best or the second best or even the 3rd best quarterback in the league. And you are able to do it because you have serviceable quarterback play and, well, above that, above average quarterback play to, in Jalen Hurts' case, very good quarterback play. In Jared Goff's case, very good quarterback play. a majority of the time. A majority of the time, but he has his stinkers that we all see and we know that are still there. But when you support them with talent, dude, they're going to be fine. And that's going to be the fascinating part about this draft for me is that these teams, you have teams that are all going to be willing to move back, but the ones that jump up are the ones that are gambling. And there are some teams that you're looking at, like the New York Giants are a great example of this. If they're split at all on Shedeur Sanders, do not take him.
No.
Take Abdul Carter, and then you can trade whatever you feel necessary to trade to get back into that first round, as long as you get the quarterback that, if it's not Shedeur, if you're split on Shedeur, then just trade up above 21 where Pittsburgh's going to be and go and find him, right? Or if you love Jackson Dart, trade back into the first round and get your chance to get your quarterback. If that happens, that's successful for the Giants in this draft, because you need the best player available and you have the third pick. There's 6 guys that they say are going to be stars, right? After that, it's like there's a lot of really good players, but the fit matters tremendously. And if you take out, and it's a big one with Shedeur Sanders, we talked about this yesterday, but if you take out the fact that we don't know how he is going to handle hard coaching in the NFL, because his dad has been his coach literally since high school, actually even before that, but he's been his head coach in high school and then in college. If you take that out of it, and Mike Tomlin is a guy who can handle big personalities, divas, all that stuff very well, Pittsburgh is a great spot for him to go. It is a great spot for him to go because there's stability, there's talent around him.
Highly functional organization.
And him sliding in the draft is not a bad thing for Shedeur Sanders. It's not a bad thing for any of these quarterbacks.
If you're a quarterback, you want to slide.
Yes, because you're going to be put in it. Look at Lamar Jackson. Everybody laughed. Lamar Jackson, 32nd overall. Ravens trade back into the first round. They got Lamar Jackson. Well, guess what? Lamar Jackson had a very talented team around him.
The guy was able to step in and not have everything thrown at his feet like Bryce Young. It got me wondering who's the Bryce Young of this draft? Not necessarily a quarterback, but a player that is just going to be sent to hell because of the state of the organization, that it's just going to be set up for failure.
Well, that's different because like skill guys get it placed on them far more than linemen do, and it just appears that a majority of the dumpster fires are going to more or less stable teams. Like, I mean, the Jets appear just dead set on getting offensive linemen, right? The Panthers are going interior line on the defensive line, by all accounts.
Do you think
the top 2 picks are the ones? Yeah. It's Cam Ward and Travis Hunter. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. I believe it. I still have questions about Cam Ward and his readiness because he is a gunslinger and they've got to make sure they can get through to him.
Do you think those teams, the Jets and the Panthers of the world, that it's this class that is forcing them to do this, or are they learning?
No, it's a class. They're not learning. I like Dave Canales in Carolina, and I think he is a really good coach. But, I mean, that starts at the top there on how dysfunctional they are. I mean, it's a mess there.
Yeah. But
the fits on this, there's going to be some of these guys that they're going to say this draft class is not very good. And I think that's wildly unfair. There are teams
guys are going to pop
that are going to get absolute studs because of fit. And if you look at, from 17 on down, that back half of the draft where you got playoff teams in there, they are going to get so damn good, right? Like they are going to hit home run after home run because you're looking at guys. I'll just read. I got Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft up right now. I'll pull that up. His final mock draft, 32, Jahad Campbell goes to the Eagles.
Jesus.
Great fit. 31, Josh Connerly goes to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Good place to go.
Okay. 30, Trey Amos goes to the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Jahdae Barron goes to the Commanders at 29.
They need one.
Donovan Jackson, an interior offensive lineman, goes to the Lions at 28.
Yeah.
Okay. Kenneth Grant goes to Baltimore.
I mean, that's a hand and glove fit.
Right.
God.
Yeah.
That might be the best of these so far.
Amarion Hampton goes to the Rams at 26. That's a great fit.
It is.
That's a great fit.
I keep thinking about Denver for him, but if I'm Denver, I'd probably look wide receiver.
Well, he has trades in his mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
He has Denver moving up to 13 and getting Colston Loveland from Miami in a Miami swap, and then Miami gets Malachi Starks at 20. Fits the needs for both of those teams.
Yeah.
They can move up. But then you have Tyler Booker 25 to Houston. Derek Harmon going 24th overall to Minnesota. That's a great fit. Travion Henderson going 22 to the Chargers. I don't see that, but that would be a really good fit to have a check down back, receiving back that can be between the tackles, first through third down back. Like, these teams have the opportunity to get great fits for their scheme and their system in the back half of the first round.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see just how good those teams do and how bad the bad teams do reaching.
Okay.
That's I think the story of the draft every year.
There's going to be 2 pivot points. First one, jockeying for position to get Ashton Jeanty, because it seems like 3 through 6 is kind of where he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But who jumps up to leapfrog, and 6 is kind of his floor because that's where the Raiders are. And the Raiders are sitting there. I guess you could go 3 through 10, because if somehow he makes it past the Raiders, then he's off the board at 10.
Yeah.
Going to the Bears. But Ashton Jeanty is the first pivot point of movement in the draft. Who's willing to move up? Who's willing to move down?
Leave my Jeanty alone.
The next one is teams willing to move into the first round for a quarterback.
Yeah, that the
back end of the draft.
Back 10 picks.
Yep.
To see who slides, and I think that's another story here is what happens with Shedeur. If he falls out of the top 10, how far does it go?
Well,
20. A team
20.
trying to move in front of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what, and the 2 teams that would do that to try to jump Pittsburgh, Cleveland and the Giants.
Mm-hmm. And Denver's picking
Those
in
2
front
teams.
of them, and they've got a quarterback.
They have their guy.
So they can recoup some value there, but do they?
They can't afford to move out of the first round.
Yeah,
though.
that's what I'm saying. Is there a team there that makes sense for them?
I think I saw on one mock draft the Giants moving up to 18. Is that Seattle's pick?
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be Seattle's
And
pick.
taking, I think, Sanders there.
Oh, hey,
I mean,
Shedeur to Seattle.
Would have been the Giants.
Oh, the
Trading out the
Giants.
spot.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Giants. Shedeur to the Giants.
Go with God, my friend.
See, I don't like that
I
fit.
don't either. That's what I'm saying. Like
Pittsburgh, I like it.
Yeah. Organizational structure.
Well, did they then move
Could you
up?
imagine Shedeur walking into a room with Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson?
I mean,
That's your quarterback room?
Well,
not just that.
if you move up to 18, then what about Jackson Dart? If you're the
Jackson Dart.
Giants.
That would. Well, I don't know if you'd have to move up to 18 to go get him, but sure, if you love him, go get him.
My whole thing with if you're a quarterback going there, you're going to a team that's very likely going to fire its GM and head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, what? How good do the Giants have to be to not fire both of them? Like this feels like you're just waiting to pull the trigger because they're not going to be good.
No.
So
No,
what
they're
are you
a
doing?
ways off, but you have to be aggressive in pushing forward towards getting. Like, the thing about Dart that I like in New York is that you don't have to play him this year.
Yeah.
You would not have to play him at all this year, and he needs that year. The other thing about this first round is which teams need to be the most aggressive in the first round? Because there's a handful of them, and we talked about a few of them in Cleveland and New York, but which team is it that needs to be the most aggressive to improve their roster this year? Danny and Dusty, here's Rust, SportsCenter.
This is Draft Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now, Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Langdon Farms Golf Club. Good or bad weather, the golf course is always the driest around. Download the Langdon Farms app today to get all the latest news and specials. First on The Fan, the first round of the NFL Draft just a couple hours away. There are still many questions, but it does appear to be a lock. The Titans will take Miami quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. We'll have full coverage over on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 4 o'clock, and primetime will go to the podium for picks starting at 5 o'clock. Got a trio of Game 3s tonight in the NBA playoffs. 4 o'clock on TNT. The Pistons stole one in New York, but the Knicks are 1.5-point road favorites back in Detroit. In the second half of the doubleheader, the Grizzlies looking to avoid an 0-3 hole to the Thunder in Memphis. Those Grizz are 9.5-point dogs. Then at 7 o'clock on NBA TV from LA, the Clippers and Nuggets tied at 1 game apiece. The Clippers are 5.5-point favorites. Mariners and Red Sox in a rubber match this morning at Fenway Park. It's now the bottom of the 6th. The Mariners still with a 4-2 lead over the Sox. Mitch Garver with a 2-run double in the top of the first. And Alex Bregman with 2 hits. He's got a solo home run and an RBI single. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
NFL draft coming up 4.5 hours from now, under 4.5 hours. Cam Ward will be the number 1 overall selection,
Tick, 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 tick.
according to everybody. Which teams need to be most aggressive on day 1 of the NFL draft?
It's really interesting because if you're talking about being the most aggressive, for at least for me, you're talking about the teams that are in the window, and you have a position of need that you have to address. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, what was their issue in the Super Bowl?
O-line play.
I think that's probably, if you're talking about the teams that need to be most aggressive, if there is a game changer in your mind that you can secure and you might have to trade up or give up something to go do it, you need to go do it because you're in a title window.
Yeah, I see them as a team that I don't know if they're going to be that aggressive. They got 4 picks in the top 100.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interior defensive line outside of your offensive line that need to be addressed.
And there's depth at both spots, but do you find that there's a clear delineation between?
But if you're at 31
Mm-hmm.
and you get a call from Cleveland or New York,
Mhm.
which, by the way, those two teams, I think those two teams have the top 2 picks of the second round.
Yeah,
So
the Titans don't have one there.
you could be just dropping 1 spot or 2 spots,
Mhm.
and you could still get probably whoever you're going to pick there, and you'll be okay. But then you can get other assets, probably another top 100 pick. So then you would have 5 top 100 picks, still get the guy that you would want. Like I like
in that exact scenario, yeah. I think
like
you're
where
right.
you're thinking there, in that, the title window teams, but there's a lot of teams though in the NFL draft. It can be teams that want to enter that window because you look at a team,
the Commanders and Bears.
Bears, the Denver Broncos, where you got a young quarterback and you're like, all right, the clock is ticking now. We got 4 more years with Bo Nix before we have to pay Bo Nix money. How are we going to do this?
Vikings.
Right? Vikings are the same way, and they're like, we need to do it on the cheap too.
Mhm.
You've got, for the Vikings, you've got to do it on the cheap because you're paying a lot of money
On the
to wide
defensive
receiver
side of the
number
ball,
1
too.
and on the defensive side of the ball because you spent a lot of money this offseason. You're like, how do we get better and how do we get better cheap? Do it in the draft. And you don't, for the Vikings, you don't have a ton of holes to fill. For if you are Denver, trading up and getting, the number 1 wide receiver that you have on your board or a dominant tight end to pair with Bo Nix. Yes, if you do love Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, move up, Denver, because that would be an amazing safety blanket for Bo Nix, who those guys would get their touches. It would balance your offense a lot more. And Denver could be that team that, I think they need to be. I think Pittsburgh needs to be aggressive too.
Because they have to get a quarterback.
If that Shedeur drop happens and he goes past number 9, they need to work on moving up from 21 so nobody can do the jump in front of them.
Yeah, and that's the opposite side of this coin for me is the Cowboys.
Not a great. Don't be aggressive. Collect
them. Like with all of the rumors about them being interested in Ashton Genty, it just screams Jerry Jones wanting Darren McFadden all over again.
Well, and Jerry Jones said it this week. Like they got the wheels in motion for a lot of big moves and trades, and you're going,
if it's not trading Dak Prescott, you're doing
boy.
it wrong.
Oh boy. To Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You trade Dak to Pittsburgh for
anything.
George Pickens.
Anything.
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 Just what if you're willing to pay him? Done. I don't think Pittsburgh can even do that.
No, I don't think they can either.
Man,
that cap hit is astronomical.
Yeah, it is. That's a bad contract. You're never going to be able to trade that.
Which the whole point of it is like, yeah, you need cheap talent, but you need a lot of cheap talent. You can't be expending assets to go get a player.
I think a team that will be aggressive today is the team that lived by the F them picks rule for several years, and that's the Rams, because they've been really good in the draft.
And they've recouped some picks recently, too.
They have, and they're sitting at 26, and there's been this kind of idea floating that they could be looking at quarterback of the future at 26, which is a great bargaining chip
Mm-hmm.
for any of those teams that need a quarterback too, whether it is, uh, Cleveland,
New York.
New York, New Orleans.
Mhm.
If those three don't go quarterback in the top 10, they got a good bargaining chip at 26 to be like, look, yeah, you're not going to be able to jump Pittsburgh, but if you love Jackson Dart, he'll be there at 26 for you. And I think they may be a team that they surprised a lot of people, and they had to turn over their roster because it's getting really expensive, and they got a lot of cap hits. I mean, Cooper Kupp is no more. They have Puka Nakua, but you need, I think, running back, and if you can wheel and deal, get some extra assets, get another receiver, get some defensive help, and get a running back, do it.
There's one or two guys every year that go in the first round where there's a lot of, I'm sorry, what? Who's that guy this year? Because it feels like because of the way that the depth is,
I don't think that guy exists right now, unless it's a fourth quarterback.
that's what I was thinking.
If Tyler Shuck goes in the first round, I'd be stunned. Or Jalen Milrow, who's at the draft.
Mhm.
If Milrow or Shuck go off the board
Which
in the
means
first round,
at least enough teams turned in that he could potentially. Now,
and it's all about getting a fifth year. That's
Yeah.
that's why you get into the first round and you take that fourth quarterback.
dicey.
It's ballsy,
That's what you want to hinge it on, huh? All right.
but it's the most valuable position in all of sports.
I don't disagree.
I thought you were going to say something, Rust. No. Okay. One thing that I am going to be really interested in too is the Detroit Lions, Washington Commanders, Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Those three teams are this close. And you mentioned Kansas City of that window being open. Nobody's talking about Buffalo.
Mhm.
Nobody is saying a word about Buffalo.
As good as they are, they have holes.
Those three picks, 28 through 30, those are going to be the most important picks to them getting over the hump. In this draft, being as deep as it is, I will my eye late in that first round.
See what they do.
Yeah, because in trading out, it's so frustrating. Being a New England Patriots fan, it was so frustrating to trade out of the first round. It is so valuable to
It's
do
incredibly valuable.
because unless it's a quarterback, you don't need to roll the dice on that one. Where those teams go in the direction, because they have holes, but they can be filled today and tomorrow. And it can be real quick with the depth of the draft.
I mean, we've seen that and how quick it can swap. I mean, I hate keep going back to this example, but the Eagles were starting two rookies in the defensive backfield, and a third was playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of insane when you think about it.
It is. All right, 503-864-6326. That is the fan text line. Let's go to Fun with Audio today. It is draft day. We talked about this at the onset of the show. These guys, think of the seminal moments of their careers, in their lives to this point, right? The most important part of their lives has been where they go to college, well, for some of them, because they're so damn old, maybe getting married. But then it's getting drafted and where you go in the NFL. There was a story that is resurfaced from 15 years ago that the people need to hear.
Okay.
A draft day experience. Everybody says it's a day to remember until it isn't. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
It's
was 2010. Sam Bradford was the number 1 overall pick to the St. Louis Rams. And actually, I looked this up. Oklahoma in 2009 went 8-5. 3 of the top 4 picks were Oklahoma Sooners. They had 4 first-round picks.
Who was on that team?
Well, Sam Bradford went number 1 overall, Oklahoma quarterback. Then the pride of Grant High School, Ndamukong Suh, went number 2 to the Lions. But then 3rd and 4th overall, 2 Oklahoma Sooners, defensive tackle Gerald McCoy and offensive tackle Trent Williams.
Were those guys any good?
Yeah, Trent Williams is 15 years later still
playing.
Really, really good. And then the 21st overall selection in the draft was tight end Jermaine Gresham, who was also a Pro Bowler.
How the hell did they lose?
The only guy who was not a Pro Bowler was Sam Bradford.
Well, now, was he not also the impetus for the contract limitations for...
Because
Yes.
you got
Yeah.
60 million
Yes.
or 45. I can't remember which one his was.
It was a butt ton.
Yeah.
But looking back at this draft, holy crap, this draft was loaded.
Yeah.
Right? So you have Sue, McCoy, Williams, Eric Berry, whose career got cut short due to cancer, the safety out of Tennessee who went to the Chiefs. He went 5th. Then Russell Okung, 6th. Joe Hayden went 7th. CJ Spiller went 9th. Ryan Matthews, Chargers running back, went 12th. Brandon Graham, 13th. Earl Thomas, 14th. Jason Pierre-Paul, 15th. Mikey Upati, 17th. Marquise Pouncey, 18th. Demarius Thomas went 22nd. Des Bryant, 24th. Devin McCourty, 27th. That is an insane first round. And oh, by the way, Tim Tebow, he was the 25th overall pick.
That was the draft that made me put a hole in a wall.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Rolando McClain?
Mm-hmm. I've never been more infuriated by a draft pick in any sport than that one. I was so pissed.
Really, Darius Hayward Bay?
Well, Hayward Bay was worse, but it also, this was the year after that. And
Yeah.
I was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so the 2010 draft was star-studded. It was loaded. And, boy, it brought out all of the feelings because it was the 75th anniversary of the NFL draft. So the NFL brought in legends from each team. And this is back when the draft was at Radio City Music Hall. And that's all anybody ever cared about. And they brought Lawrence Taylor, of all people, in front of a microphone. He was asked about his experiences.
Take us back to your draft day. What do you remember from the day that you were drafted?
Donald, I don't remember too much. I had 41 Coors Lights, so I couldn't tell you.
You remember 41.
Yeah, I remember 41.
You remember 41, but you don't remember what happened.
Don't really remember what happened. I just know it was an exciting time, but it wasn't like this. You know, it was old school, and I wasn't in New York or anything. I just caught it on TV like everybody else. So.
Did you get a phone call? Did you have your family around you?
Good.
Did you get a phone call? You had your family around you?
I had my drinking buddies with me.
Yeah, 41. Yeah, 41 beers probably isn't that much for a guy that could, take down a kilo of Coke by himself.
I don't know. Even Wade Boggs is like, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
I mean, he was the number 2 overall pick. So when did these 41 Coors Lights get taken down?
I mean, you
Do you
start
think it
cracking
was
them.
like before or after?
You're taking a few before, but it's definitely once you know where you go, it's on.
Now, I wanted some of the follow-up questions, but I couldn't find those. Of where were you? Were you at your home? He's from Virginia, or was he in Chapel Hill? Was he in North Carolina?
Yeah.
He said he wasn't at the draft. Wasn't like this. I wonder where Lawrence Taylor was hammering 41 beers.
I hope it's on the back of a pickup truck.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
he needed back then. You needed to be near a corded phone because.
Oh yeah.
81 draft, dude. You needed to be close to the phone. You didn't have a cell phone.
Well, look, once you get the phone call, you go outside.
I think the party was the party was had by Lawrence Taylor and his drinking buddies, apparently.
Yeah,
Which probably his college teammates.
I would imagine.
That man had. Could you imagine what his career would have looked like had he taken care of his body like LeBron
Yeah,
does?
had he been sober?
Like you throw like a million. Well, you don't even have to be sober. Don't even like. I'm just saying like LeBron. We know LeBron likes his wine.
Sure.
But if he were to spend $1 million a year on his body, what would he have been like?
Because he's the most single dominant wrecking force we've ever seen on that side of the ball.
Because the other side of that argument is, if he was like that, would he have been the same player?
Yeah, because I mean,
Did the drug, sex, and alcohol fuel
how
Lawrence Taylor, the
insane he
player?
was. Like, what was the movie? Any Given Sunday? It's where he chops the Hummer in half.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really that far off from the reality. Of
It's
him.
based on real events.
Yeah. Like, he was handling that saw like he's handled a chop saw before. Like,
Yeah. Though it's not advised to have one foot on each side of the car and split down the middle as
yeah,
you're.
no, you pick a side.
Yeah, you got to stay on one side
Yeah.
or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no good that's going to happen
Because
when
when
you're
it kicks
standing on
back,
top of
then
it.
you go, it's gonna go right down the middle.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love that story from Lawrence Taylor.
I mean, that's the most G-rated version. I would love to know what the actual story of that all was.
None of these current players can do that, though.
No.
Because they have cameras even at their homes. You know, remember Tua's house? Everybody's like, Tua's family lives in a damn log cabin?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on here?
That was a kick-ass house.
What's the over-under on college girlfriends being shown the door tonight?
Ooh. I think there's got to be an awareness factor. If you're an agent or a publicist, marketing manager for a player.
Unless that is the long time, if that's wifey,
Yeah.
fine.
You've got to show them Jalen Waddle. You remember Jalen Waddle? Jalen Waddle got drafted. He was in the green room, and his whole family was like watching the TV. He stood up, did not hug a person, walked out of the green room. Like, he was just like, deuces. There was another receiver, I think he was an Alabama receiver, where he had his phone. Oh, no, it may have been CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb,
It was
yeah.
CeeDee Lamb, Oklahoma. He had his phone. His girlfriend tried to pick up. He was like, no.
Because I think he was talking on one phone and had another one like on his leg or something, and she went to grab it, and he was like,
Zip. Those videos have got to be shown. You are not the one getting drafted here.
Or the Russell Wilson girlfriend.
Ex-wife now.
Yeah, the whole like, we made money. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see that. I can be a consultant to these people.
Yeah.
You know, to all of the players getting drafted, I can consult on how your family should behave.
The camera shot.
Yes.
Yeah, how you set it up.
It's got to be calculated. It's all part of the brand.
Like the guys that like sit at home in a suit on their couch. It's like, brother,
yeah.
no.
I'm waiting for an Al Bundy offensive lineman.
Well, I'd say I love the offensive lineman because they're wearing sweats.
I want him in some gym shorts and a tank top, just
Crocs.
sitting there pounding beers and just having a good old time. Wearing a trucker's hat.
Yeah.
Living his best life.
100%.
503-864-6326. That is the fan text line. I've drank more beer in a single sitting than I'd care to admit, but 41? Holy hell, that's scary.
41's a big number.
I did 24, but that was over the course of 12 hours.
Old LT. I wonder if that's like a fishing story, though. It gets a little bit bigger
bigger
over
each time.
time. You know, he's just like, yeah, it was a rack. It was a
mean-
half rack, then it was a rack, and now it's 41. He's like, I don't know.
I've done a couple case races and had a few more on top of that, but
Polished
that's-
mine off with a 22 pyramid Hefeweizen.
oh God, why?
Mm.
Did you want to die?
College dumb.
Oh God, pouring a half on top of the
Yeah.
on top of the
And
rainwater.
that 12 hours was midnight to noon.
Yeah.
Oof.
I'm going to lay out of this one.
What's the worst thing you've ever poured on top?
Poured on top?
Yeah, like you've been drinking something all day and you poured something on top.
Or finished off,
The
your nightcap.
worst? Oh boy, this is a long list. Like Tuwaka at the end of the night. That's done me dirty a few times.
That's my nightcap a lot of the time.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. But not when you're taking it too deep.
Right.
A lot of the AMFs.
Oof.
Oh, had a couple of teammates like they do remember the Incredible Hulk,
Yeah.
Hypnotic and Hennessy. They would like bring me one of those at the end of the night, and I'd be like, "Well, this is giving me a stomach ache. Way too sweet at the end of the night." So
That's-
it's all sweet stuff.
It's all, I would say the
Yeah.
one that always did me in, because I love tequila, is somebody would bring me like a double of tequila to throw down for the end of the night, not telling me that it was like the super crappy, sugary
Oh yeah.
tarantula or something like that. And you're just, I tip it back and I'm like, ugh, oh God.
All right. Yeah, it's never a good call.
Oh God,
Never a
no.
good call. All right, the NBA playoffs resume. Let's get to that because we got a lot of hate, and boy, we have had shade thrown before. This is new. Identifying who you're picking on.
Oh.
Next on the Fan.
A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland, an Odyssey sports station. Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan. The first round of the NFL draft is just hours away, and there are still many questions. One of them, though, appears to be answered. Almost a lock. The Titans will select Miami quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. We'll have full coverage over on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 4 o'clock, and primetime will go to the podium for all the picks starting at 5 o'clock. 3 game threes tonight in the association. First up at 4 o'clock on TNT, the Pistons stole one in New York, but the Knicks now 1.5-point road favorites back in Detroit in the second half of the doubleheader. The Grizzlies looking to avoid an 0-3 hole to the Thunder in Memphis. That'll be a tall task, though. They are 9.5-point underdogs. Then at 7 o'clock on NBA TV from Los Angeles, Clippers and Nuggets, they're tied at 1 game apiece. The Clippers are 5.5-point favorites. Mariners and Red Sox in a rubber match started this morning at Fenway Park. They're at the bottom of the 8th now. The Red Sox just plating a run, so that cuts the Mariners' lead to 4-3. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back. The 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club happens Tuesday, June 24th. Presented by your local Toyota dealers. Reserve your foursome now at 1080thefan.com. It's all about taking a leap on the next star.
Penix out of the pocket. Penix pump angle. Pylon touchdown. There's Nix going for the long ball. He's got a step on him, and the Broncos strike early with the touchdown to Franklin from 43 yards out.
This is a Draft Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Get $2,000 off a new energy-efficient system now through May 31st. Call or visit aeheatingandcooling.com.
And this is why you don't want to play a Sean Payton team who has a young quarterback.
Draft Week with Danny and Dusty on 1080 The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Thursday afternoon. NFL Draft Day. We will continue with our draft conversations as the day goes on. Leading you up to the NFL Draft, which is 3 hours, 52 minutes, and 15 seconds from now. Where Cam Ward will be the number 1 overall pick.
Babe.
Are Coug fans happy for him?
I mean, I think they understand it, right? Like the whole leaving thing.
I don't
Like,
know.
it
It's
didn't-
tough, dude.
I mean, I get it.
yeah.
I mean, he had a hell of a season for them.
Incredible.
I mean, to the brink in multiple games. Like,
I feel
I feel bad.
Bad.
I mean, look. I mean,
That's like watching your girlfriend break up with you and then go and, start dating Zac Efron.
yeah.
depends how much you like the girlfriend.
Well, no. Can we find somebody a little bit more flawed than that? Miami's
Yeah.
a little bit more flawed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, who's super hot with, like,
issues?
yeah.
What was his name? Andrew Tate.
Oh, God.
Damn.
Wow.
Or talking about issues. It's Miami.
Those,
I don't think they're human. No.
I mean, those are issues with it. That's like boldface print,
I mean,
all caps.
yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
the guy always has his shirt off, flaunting the money. That's what I think of when I think of Miami.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of, like,
Seth Rogen. Super
No,
successful and rich.
Not hot, though.
Flawed.
Not hot enough. Not
You
hot
gotta be.
enough.
Yeah, it's Miami. You gotta be hot.
Not hot enough. Ooh. Huh. Oh. Tommy Lee.
Huh?
Successful.
Yeah.
Good looking.
Yeah. Sex symbol.
Boy.
She never going to be the same if she comes back to you.
So the draft is today. There were basketball games last night.
It went deep.
Not really. Those games are over pretty quickly. Have you ever seen a team do quite what the Cavaliers are doing right now? Like, they take a 2-0 series lead, final score 121 to 112. They sleptwalk through the first quarter, absolutely backhanded Miami in the second quarter, and then put it in cruise control. What Darius Garland said after this game tells you exactly how lopsided this series is,
I love DG.
because he's saying something that can only be described as, Miami, force us to change anything. Force an adjustment from us, please.
Pick on Tyler Hero and take care of the ball. Don't play in tight spaces. And pick on their weak defenders. Go at them.
The question was, what was the game plan? And his first answer was pick on Tyler Hero. So
It was what they did in game 1.
through 2 games. Okay, I'm gonna read this list to you. Okay, so this is some data from Second Spectrum. This is the tracking data on the NBA side. These are the players that are involved as the screener defender, not the ball handler defender. So they're bringing this man over to put into the action. Okay, these are your top 6: Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, Ivica Zubac, Chet Holmgren, Jarrett Allen, Tyler Hero.
Huh. So all of those other guys that you just mentioned, except for Tyler Hero, are bigs. And who initiates a pick and roll?
Bigs. They're bringing over a guard screen. And here are the next 5 names: Isaiah Hartenstein, Wendell Carter Jr., Giannis Antetokounmpo, Miles Turner, Kel'el Ware.
Okay, so
he
he's
is
the only person under 6'11"?
Yeah.
Because Wendell Carter's
No,
6'11", right?
6'10". Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Even
Okay.
then, Wendell's a truck.
Yeah.
So, but what this is, they're doing a guard screen action. And if you're wondering how effective is that guard screen action, they're getting 1.256 points per chance.
Yikes.
So if you're talking about points per 100, that is 125.6 points per 100. That would be the best offense in the NBA by a lot. If you were generating, so Damian Lillard at his peak here in Portland was his pick and roll offense by himself was so good that it would have ranked in the top 10 in the NBA. That's how good he was. Anywhere between like a 1-1, like a 1-1-2 and like a 1-1-4, somewhere right around there for basically like a 7-year stretch. This is more than that. And it's not just Garland, it's not just Mitchell, and it's not just Ty Jerome. It's all of them. And they are hunting him mercilessly. And that's him as the screener defender. If you put him in as the ball handler defender, he has half the possession. So he is 50 as the screener defender, 24 as the ball handler. If he's the guard in that action, he's giving up 1.476 points per possession.
That's also very bad.
That is atrocious. So on average, so through 74 possessions, they're getting 1.35, 1.36 points per possession. That's insanity.
Yikes.
That's insanity. Like that's such an egregious level. And for what you talked about, like force us to change, they can't take Hero off the floor because nobody else can score.
Well, this was the issue for Miami last night. Miami shot 52% from the field, and they never had a chance to win the game. Like I don't. The final score was what 121 to 112.
Yeah, it wasn't that close.
That wasn't even a game after the second quarter.
So as the screener defender, he's giving up a 64% effective field goal percentage. As the ball handler defender, he's giving up an almost 81% effective field goal percentage.
They were outscored 43-27 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
They went at him relentlessly.
Yeah, endlessly.
And it doesn't matter because Miami outscored Cleveland the final 2 periods. And that's why you have to keep Tyler Hero in the game, is because there's no way that they are going to whittle down that lead any other way than allowing him to shoot. But you can't hide him on defense when they are literally everything that they do is predicated on, all right, whoever Hero's guarding is going to come and set the pick.
I mean,
and we're going to force them.
74 possessions. Okay, you're getting in the playoffs right now, I believe it's under 100 possessions. So more than half of your possessions each game are targeting him.
So if you're Spo, what do you do? I mean,
you can't take him off the floor.
Do you have to play zone?
You have to junk it up. You have to switch or pre-switch. You might have to put Hero on somebody like one of their wings, but like, I mean, if they start Strus, do you go there? Strus is probably the best one to go after for him because you can't put him on Mobley. You can't.
He'll get daddied.
And you definitely can't put him on Allen. So, like, for all of like the Cavs are small in their backcourt, you better have somebody who can stop somebody because both those guys, and you don't get a break because Ty Jerome comes off the bench. It's brutal, dude. Like, this is when we talk about the difference between regular season basketball and playoff basketball. If you have warts, they are going to claw at them.
But I think there's another thing that does kind of stick out to me from that list that you read, and they had to pull him off the floor. Kel'el Ware was in that top 8, the guys that you read.
I think he's 10th.
He's 10th. He's in that top 10. So if they're not going after Tyler Hero, they're going after Kellel Ware, who is young. They only had him in for 19 minutes last night.
He's giving up more points per possession than Tyler Hero as the screener defender.
And that's your bugaboo, though, is that you don't have the rim protector that you feel confident can be at the rim because
you've got Bam.
But you're gonna move him up, and you're pulling one of your bigs out if they go with the big on small traditional pick and roll.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
The film was very. This is what Kenny Atkinson does. When the Blazers were looking for a new coach when they fired Terry Stotts, you can go back and read the tweets. Kenny Atkinson was number one on my list because if you were going to build around Damian Lillard, what he was going to do was be very Stottsian in the sense of the offense. It wasn't going to change that much, but where I think Atkinson shines is in the minutia. In the playoffs, it's the minutia, and like finding that thing and just clawing at it until there's nothing left, or you make a drastic change. That's where I think Atkinson, he is the guy that you will see some teams sometimes run the same set 4 or 5 times in a row, and it works every time, and then they stop. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't stop. Keep going. Until they stop it. Run it again.
Again.
Yes.
Again.
Kenny Atkinson will do that because he'll be like, stop it. It's like the team that runs the ball 6 yards a carry, and then they're like, we should go play action now. I'm like, why? You're death marching down the field. Don't stop now.
You take that shot, get it quicker. Let's go. I'm here for it.
But that's what the Cavs and Kenny Atkinson have done, and it's honestly it's kind of hard to watch when you're watching it. You're like, oh no, they're like, because it's not every now and then.
Yeah,
it's damn near every time down the floor.
All right. Well, I want to save the Rockets Warriors for a little bit later because that's getting spicy too.
There's a lot there.
But the Celtics did take their commanding 2-0 series lead. No Tatum, no problem?
Yeah.
Next on The Fan. Boston Celtics beat the Orlando Magic 109-100 in the 1-8 matchup.
If nobody watched it, can anybody prove it?
Prove it. Prove it. Yeah, no Jason Tatum last night. No problem? Well, kind of some problems, but still a 9-point win. And felt comfortable in that 9-point win.
Well, everybody felt comfortable except for Kristaps Porzingis, who got his face exploded.
Boy, that was a thing, huh?
Good God.
Right between the eyes. Do you see the Joe Mazzulla quote from, I think it was this past offseason, what he said?
Mm-mm.
It was a great quote tweet, and I want to do it. Sam LaFrance, don't know who that is. You know who Sam LaFrance is? His bio says avid knower of ball.
Oh, there you go.
And generational hater.
There you go.
Oh. How About Them C's podcast. Okay. There was a picture when Porzingis came in to shoot those free throws, like they went to stop the bleeding so he could shoot the free throw so he could actually return to the game at some point.
He had the blood streaks on his face.
He had blood streaks, but remember the bandage? It looked like an X. It was like one for your elbow, but they just slapped like the X bandage on the middle of his forehead. It was that picture tweeted out by Bleacher Report. And Sam LaFrance did a quote tweet of a Joe Mazzulla quote from the preseason, which said, "People are going to say the target's on our back, but I hope it's right on our forehead in between our eyes."
You could do that when Mazzulla does the Ash Wednesday, too.
Which is exactly where the bandage was for Kristaps Porzingis. It's a great back-to-back. But when that happened, did you have the same thought I did about Porzingis? Oh, great, he's hurt again.
No, because it wasn't his legs.
Yeah, no, I still had it like this. Somehow, some way, he cracked his skull and like he's gonna be done.
Well, did you see the crazy look on his face? He was about it.
Well, anybody that has blood streaming down their face has a crazy look, but it was more mankind crazy than anything else.
It was like, all right, like it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm seriously bleeding from a face wound or head wound, but yeah, no, I mean, with Kristaps, it's always the injury stuff, but it wasn't his legs, so I was like, it'd probably be okay, because when he came out, like I don't know if it's because he got stung so hard that he was in another world, but like the look on his face was like, I'm good.
When he came back onto the floor, it's a miss that the Boston Garden, TD Garden, sorry, they did not play stone cold. The glass should have broke when he walked back out and got on the floor. But they end up winning. Kristaps doesn't hit a three. Drew Holiday doesn't hit a three. Derek White was not efficient from three. They were saved. Jaylen Brown had himself a hell of a game.
Yeah, he did.
Without Jason Tatum on the floor. And it's not any kind of sweeping judgment of what this Celtics team can do. I'm more with you, though. I'm a little concerned that if Jason Tatum is missing a playoff game, his health as the series continue to go on, because the first round is a non-starter for the Celtics. It's about what is he like in June.
Yes, like when they match up with the Cavs, if everything holds like we think it will, and I'd be stunned if those two teams don't meet in the Eastern Conference Finals. How healthy is he going to be? If you've got to lean on Jaylen here and his knees still bother him, yeah, he had a great performance, but that's something you have to be concerned about. Is that those guys are like, look, I mean, stars are important, man. And part of me wonders, like, if the Celtics didn't think they could just take care of the Magic, would they rest Tatum here? Or is it like more precautionary? Or is it like going to be a real problem?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it was more
precautionary,
but still like a little concern. We have to talk Joe Mazzulla, though, because he had an all-timer. This was when he was asked about Kristaps getting squared up between the eyes.
He just has a great way about him, and I think that helps us. And I do. I love watching him. I like watching him bleed on the court. I think it's important. And then he comes back in and does his job. So I do like that about him.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Wait a minute.
I like the way he bleeds on the court.
That I expect. It's what he said immediately after that. That's important. What about seeing one of your players
ritual sacrifice
bleeding is important. It's important.
You got to make sure they're not androids. Like what's the deal here? I like how he starts with the coach speak and then goes into I like seeing him bleed his own blood.
Yeah, I like seeing him bleed out there. You know, that's important. Huh? That man is certified
Oh no,
insane.
he's Looney Tunes.
And
It's real.
so was their last coach.
Yeah.
Ime Udoka
Yeah.
is also a lunatic.
Oh, Ime's when we'll talk about the Rockets Warriors series here in a little bit, but like he's certifiable. Ime is nuts.
Well, yeah.
Like
Pride of Jefferson, let's go.
I mean, he's out there. Like I was talking to some executives over the last couple days, and Ime's name came out a couple different times, and every single one of them said the same thing. He doesn't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
Does not care. If there's any coach in the NBA where the job security and all the trappings of all that doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care about your ego. You will either buy in or you will be thrown out. He's a lunatic.
I like that.
I do too, but like it takes it won't work for everybody.
Yeah. Orlando, you are not going to win in the playoffs when you shoot 24% from three.
Unless you're the Detroit Pistons.
Wendell Carter Jr., the only guy making three-pointers. He was 3 for 3.
Yeah.
He shoots like 24% from 3.
Mm-hmm. He's fallen off as a floor spacer.
It was lucky last night what he did.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't go their way. This is another runaway blowout.
I saw somebody say that the agent for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope should be on a cover of Forbes because he's just been so bad in Orlando. Like the idea of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope made a lot of sense. He just hasn't been what they needed. Like he just hasn't shot it this year.
Make that money, baby.
Guaranteed contracts.
Woo!
You'd love to see it.
I like that series ending tomorrow.
Oh,
They're up 2-0. Boston is. Orlando, start working on the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be one of the teams we had circled before the playoffs started. Big changes are going to happen. And it's highlighted by nights like that where they go 7 of 29 from 3.
And Jalen Suggs ain't fixing that.
They have got to get shooting.
No. If you're going to keep Paulo and Franz, you have got to get superior shooting around them.
I don't know if you can do that with keeping Paulo and Franz.
It's difficult. That's the deal. All right, coming up next on Worst Day on the Web, it's going to be a little bit of a double dip because there's one story about an NFL owner just being a complete and total red ass in the best possible way. And another one is I just have to work in here just because it's impossible to believe. But first, here's the Big Kuno Sports Center Update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
This is Draft Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the first round of the NFL Draft just hours away. Still many questions, but one of them is not who the Titans will take. It's more than rumored that it will be Miami quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. We'll have full coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 4 o'clock, and primetime will go to the podium for picks starting at 5 o'clock. A trio of Game 3s tonight in the association. First up at 4 o'clock on TNT. The Pistons stole one in New York, but the Knicks are 1.5-point road favorites tonight in Detroit. In the second half of the doubleheader, the Grizzlies looking to avoid that dreaded 0-3 hole to the Thunder in Memphis. The Grizzlies are 9.5-point dogs. Then at 7 o'clock on NBA TV from LA, Clippers and Nuggets tied at 1 game each. The Clippers are 5.5-point favorites. The Mariners and Red Sox just finished up their rubber match, and the Mariners come out on top 4-3. Mitch Garver got things started in the top of the first with a 2-run double. Alex Bregman with 2 hits on the day, a solo home run and an RBI single, and Carlos Narvaez closed the gap to 4-3 with a solo home run in the bottom of the 8th. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
A little twofer here on the worst day on the web. One, just because I have to throw it out there because it's hilarious. The other one, because it's entirely impossible to believe. The first one, Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Houston Rockets. I will preface this by saying he is the nominee to be the ambassador to Italy. Fertitta
Yes.
family has ties all about. And if you're wondering who the Fertittas are, they've got money in everything, including in Las Vegas. They were the original investors in UFC. That's his brother or uncle. I can't remember which one that one is. But Tillman has a bunch of money in the restaurant world, which during COVID got very close to him losing his team because he had no cash.
So when I was in Mexico, I saw 2 of Tillman Fertitta's mega yachts.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. The one you were like, whoa, look at that boat.
Mhm.
That's incredible. And we looked it up. It was like, I don't know, $150 million mega yacht, whatever. And it had like a ski boat on it and it had a helicopter on it. Then a little ways over, there was this like all black, ridiculous boat, and it had 2 helicopters, 2 ski boats on it, and it was just like it was blacked out everything. And
The other one
at
is the
first, the
support
guys
boat.
that were like on our crew for like the little boat that we were going around on, not nearly as nice. They were like, "Oh, I think that's a rescue boat," and then we looked up the name on it. No, it's the Shadow Yacht. For their $150 million yacht was a $70 million Shadow Yacht.
It's the support boat.
That just all it had was all of the toys on it. It was the most insane setup I've ever seen. And it's like it costs like $20 and $30 million a year to operate and staff them.
I think it's either Bezos or Zuckerberg. One of them just took hold of like one of the biggest yachts in the world. It's not the biggest. I think it's like 14th or 15th. But they said it costs $97,000 a day to run.
That's crazy.
Because of the crew, fuel, food, everything that kind of goes with it. And then the support boat, or the support yacht, is very much the same. Like the support yacht had the wakeboard boat, the wave runners, the helicopter. I'm like, oh, you have a boat for your boat?
Yeah, a yacht for your yacht.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
It's where all the help stays.
Yeah. But as it pertains to Tillman Fertitta, he was in the Oval Office with the president and the prime minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. And they were there and they were talking about the Houston Cougars run to the NCAA final in men's basketball. But also the Luka Doncic trade came up.
Oh.
And this is the line that came out of it. What Fertitta said, and then we talked about that dumbass Luka Doncic trade that Dallas did. This is an active NBA owner putting it on record.
Yeah.
Like this is insane.
Yeah, well,
it's not, but
it's
it's
not wrong.
You don't hear owners ever criticize other owners like this unless unless even with Donald Sterling, NBA owners were like, yeah, he's a POS, but like,
not much we can do.
We mean, because if you open up Pandora's box, man, of taking away a team, they're all worried about like, well, what about us? You know what I mean? Like, there's so when you actively criticize publicly, it's not like this was, secondhand, third hand. I heard. This is Tillman Fertitta on record saying this.
Yeah, well, he's just speaking the truth, and I wish that Nico Harrison and the rest of the Dallas Mavericks would speak the truth on it too and say, yeah, we screwed up. We screwed up big time. And there's nothing that we can do about it now.
Yeah, you can fire him.
Well, you can fire him, but they're not doing that. The ownership isn't doing that.
Which I still
Nobody is doing that in Dallas. Nobody. And that is the issue with everything going on with the Mavericks is that Nico Harrison, he'll never do it because that will get him fired. But the ownership isn't going, yeah, no, he screwed this up, and we're going to try to make this right starting now by firing him.
It's absolutely nuts. Speaking of absolutely nuts, how about a jilted lover situation? Haven't had one of these in a while.
Okay.
So, I will preface this. I will give you what the reporter, I should say, the person calling in the complaint said first, and then I'll hit you with a little bit of a surprise. Okay. According to the complaint, the woman said that this man kicked in a door, broke into her home, choked her, and then fled on foot.
Oh.
She gave the identification, it's on body cam, of saying that she knew who it was, so she gave his name, date of birth, and described his build and wearing all black. Okay. The man was arrested without ever being called, questioned, or her claims being verified before charging this man with aggravated assault. Okay, keep this in mind. Door was kicked in, man fled on foot.
Okay.
He's been paralyzed for 20 years. They dated 25 years ago.
Wait a minute.
They have not spoken since they basically broke up 25 years ago. And she said it was this man who's been paralyzed now for 20 years.
And they arrested him.
Yes. How does a man in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down, kick in a door or flee on foot?
It's a really good question. Miracles happen.
Is this guy been faking it for 20 years?
If this is a long con, boy, that's quite the doozy to go off of. But how could she have been so sure it was him?
No idea.
I mean, either it's a long con on either one of these things. If he's pretending like he's been paralyzed for 20 years, or she has been holding this grudge and being like, you know when I'm going to get him? In a quarter of a century. That's when I'm going to get my payback. That would be a level of petty that even you would be shocked at, Danny.
Yes. So here's where it gets even worse. After being arrested, they placed him in handcuffs, and he told them, hey, guys, if you put me in handcuffs, I might fall over, because he can't control his center of gravity because he's paralyzed from the waist down. And so he was handcuffed sideways in his chair. And one of the cops is heard saying it's a ruse. He's doing this to get out of going to jail.
Oh, yeah. Well, that guy is about to be wealthy.
Yeah. So he ended up falling out of his chair.
Oh, no. And, like, that's awful because you hear about some of the injuries
He could break his hip.
Yeah.
And it could kill him.
There can be a lot of damage there. Whoa.
So the other cop is like, if this is a ruse, it's a real good one. He goes, we should probably call the district attorney, because if he kicked in the door, it's not this guy. So one of the cops has half a brain at least. So, yeah, I was just like, are you kidding me? The video cam footage, or the body cam footage of that same cop with half a brain, is later caught saying, acknowledging the doubts of the alleged victim, saying, now it's looking like she made a false police report.
I would say so. But why this guy?
Ooh.
That's my whole thing. Is like, after 25 years, she's like, yep, no, it was definitely him. I know who did it, 100%. And then guy's been paralyzed for 20 years. So she hasn't even been like keeping tabs on him.
The woman was arrested in 2023 for a different case for theft, forgery, and filing a false police report. So maybe she's just a habitual liar.
Yeah. I bet that's probably a pretty big part of that. Where was this at?
Maryland, College Park.
Oh. That's not usually in our wheel of crazy.
No, that's why I was like, oh. When I looked at this, the lawyer said, I've never seen a case where somebody was so clearly innocent, it would take so little work to establish it, and nobody was willing to do the work.
Well, there was one guy.
After the fact.
Well, I mean, I don't know when he showed up.
Well, I'm saying, like,
I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he walked up and was like, so wait, what's going on?
Well, I mean, if you're arresting the guy, like, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe you say, hey, man, we're going to need you to come down to the station, instead of arresting a guy in a wheelchair.
Okay, so she remembered his date of... I'm trying to go back, like...
Remember
if I go back 25 years...
I can remember I recited my high school girlfriend's phone numbers to you the other day out there.
Well,
I know their birthdays, too.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I can get there if I
No.
think hard enough. But boy, that's not good. This lady has got some special kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some Florida crazy in her. I bet you if we dig deep enough, she's either from Cajun country or Florida somewhere.
Yeah, I'm getting that. Yeah, I could remember my girlfriend's birthday from 25 years ago. I could do that.
The charges have been dropped against the man in the wheelchair.
Oh, you don't say.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mm.
Huh.
I bet you he's getting a lot of money, though, too.
He's going to get a ton of money.
Literally one conversation should have stopped all of this from happening.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if you could just roll up and be like, "Hey man, what's are you Dale?" He's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I'm him." You're like, all right.
That's what you say, hey, can you come down to the station?
How long you been in that chair for, bud? And he's like 20 years. You're like, "All right. Can we verify that?"
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Come down to the station. Like, can you bring some medical history? And we can, like, sorry, but this is like, we're just doing what we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
that
look,
stuff.
I'm sure somebody has put themselves in a wheelchair before and been like, no, man, I'm paralyzed. It wouldn't shock me even a little bit that somebody has tried that.
No.
It's very, very, I think it's part of the same family of the bag of drugs. I'm holding those for a friend.
Yes. Yes.
It's it's a little more creative, but
I do appreciate the fact that you believe an accuser, but this is also a bridge too far.
One conversation.
This is, well, in two sets, there are two eyeballs.
Yeah.
One set of eyeballs. Yeah.
Hell,
in one conversation.
Hell, one eyeball.
That will get it done for you.
Give me the guy with the eye patch. Even then, he could figure it out.
Yeah, the lady who glued her eye shut.
Yeah, she could
have
out.
figured it out.
Well, she can't tell the difference in labels, but she probably can tell the difference in somebody who can walk and who can't.
Yep.
It happens.
That's where the bar's at.
So, yeah, like I said, it had to be a double dip today because this one was so stupid. Oof. All right, coming up next, a NFL legend is considering offering up his number to a player in the NFL draft this year. Danny and Dusty, 10 in the Fan. you guys know? It's back. Your local Toyota dealers present the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic at Langdon Farms Golf Club on Tuesday, June 24th. Brought to you by Henderson & Daughter Windows and Doors and by Philbrook Law Accident and Injury Lawyers. Remember, there are morning and afternoon rounds. There are 2 groups, shotgun start. If you want a morning round, get it now. You can't complain later and say, well, is there anything? No, when it's gone, it's gone. Make sure you get the round you want. It is a big, big deal to get in there early because that's when everybody wants to get in there. So if you want to do it now.
Yeah, we hear it all the time. People want to make sure they're playing in the afternoon round or the morning round.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh man, they're all sold out. Can you help me out?
No,
we can't, and I'm sorry for that. But
it's first come, first serve.
It's the life we live in.
And the reason why it's so important, because Matt's Barbecue will again be catering all of your food. Num. The Red Shed will be cooking up. They'll be cooking up and then bringing it into the Red Shed. Foursomes can be purchased right now. Go to 1080thefan.com. Click on the Fan Golf Classic logo for details for you to get your foursome. And we'll have more details as we release them that will make it worth your while.
Yeah, a lot of fun out on the course that will be had. We got a lot of things in the cooker right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lab of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We know we'll be rolling out some of the vendors that are going to be on the course, filling your bellies with good food and beverages. It's going to be a great time. It always is a great time.
It always is.
And now it's at the end of June again, so we're ready to rock and roll. Let's get this thing done.
And selfishly, I always liked it because it's a kind of a earmark for us for when our show started. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it
is.
That's when we soft launched it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
As crazy as that is already. All right, back to the NFL draft. Cam Ward's going number 1, and he's going number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. You know what else is number 1? Warren Moon. That's the number that he wore.
Nah, he wore that for the Houston Oilers, so it doesn't matter.
But they hold all those records and everything else, weirdly enough. I don't know why. The Texans should get them all. I don't like it. It's gross. But Warren Moon is considering offering up the number 1 to the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward.
I hate the number 1.
It's a weird number.
No, I hate it. I've always hated the number 1. It's because of my dad. My dad has always said
is it selfish?
People that wear number 1 are individuals and they're selfish, and it's always kind of stuck with me, even though I know a lot of guys that have worn 1 that aren't that way. But I just don't like the number.
I will say, it does look good.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I'm with you.
Nope.
All my coaches have always brought up the same thing. Nobody ever wore 1 on any team I was ever on.
Yeah.
It just wasn't allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I think we had much stricter, numbering principles, not even just in football, but just in all sports growing up, I think, than they do now. Like what positions can wear what and everything else along those lines.
Yeah. Well, no, not in high school. Still the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's eligibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that Warren Moon's is even like, yeah, no, I'm
He's thinking about it. Something tells me Warren will be like, no, find a different number, man. Wear something different.
Does Cam worn 1 everywhere?
Yeah, I think so.
I was just trying to go through my head, like, he's worn 1 everywhere, right?
I think so.
I think I remember the Incarnate Word video of him.
I definitely know he wore it at Miami and at Washington State.
I think he did before that too. So
yeah.
Okay. I'm with you on the 1 as far as the motivation behind it.
Yeah, he wore 1 there too.
There you go. So it's not like he's something he's just kind of stumbling into. It's been his number.
Yeah.
So that is always an interesting little sidebar when players get drafted, no matter what sport it is in the transactions that take place.
Yeah. And I like Cam Ward a lot. I like Cam Ward. I'd like him more if he didn't wear number 1.
What if he wears 10?
I'd like that. I wore 10.
Did you?
Okay. For 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't attached to numbers.
I was.
Never.
I was.
Never was. I think I wore 83, 10, and 15 in college, 2, 22 in high school. Never. It didn't really matter.
I started off as 48 because I loved Daryl Johnson. I was a fullback. Weirdly enough, the only Cowboy I ever liked.
Least surprising thing is that you were attached to numbers with just your numbers brain.
It was.
Yeah.
But after 48, I went to 5, and then I wore 5 and everything.
Yeah. All right.
So there you go.
Yeah. Numbers don't matter.
Numbers don't matter. All right.
Except for one.
No.
It's not a good number. That's the only number that matters to me.
And now number 3, speaking of numbers, 3.
Hey-o.
We will dive back into the NBA playoffs and the evening of series between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors and all of the craziness and damn near street fights that came out of that game. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
5 o'clock.
Come on.
This week is about cheese curds and borrowing the neighbor kid's bicycle.
What's up, Red? Thanks for the fight.
This is a Draft Week edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Get $2,000 off a new energy-efficient system now through May 31st. Call or visit aeheatingandcooling.com.
Excuse my Wisconsin mouth, but why the heck are you not drinking, for Christ's sake?
Draft Week with Danny and Dusty on 1080 The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty, and it is indeed Draft Week. The draft now slated to start in 2 hours and 54 minutes on the dot.
Woo, Nelly.
In primetime, we'll have you covered as the draft goes live at 5 o'clock. We will not. We will do that tomorrow as the draft continues on. We'll have some picks live then, but not us today.
We will tomorrow?
I thought it started earlier tomorrow.
I don't
I
know.
thought it started at 1 tomorrow. I could be wrong.
No, you could be very right.
I thought it
I
did.
just don't know.
Okay, so there you go.
I don't know.
Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am the fan, or twitch.tv/1080am the fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us. And as much as it's NFL Draft Week, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and we had another series get tied up last night.
It will start at 4 tomorrow.
Oh, 4. Okay, my mistake.
I think you're thinking of Saturday, where it starts. I believe it starts at 1 Eastern on Saturday.
Maybe that's what I saw. I saw the one somewhere.
Yeah. You're good.
But the Houston Rockets even up the series with the Golden State Warriors, and while that's important, the whining, the crying, and the sob stories coming from the Warriors fans, coaches, and players is mwah! God, I love to see it because they've had the biggest goon in the NBA for the last 12 years, and now they're getting gooned up and they don't like it.
Houston is and they were in game 1 too, the more physical
Physical as
team.
hell.
And they are a bunch of young guys knowing that the skill of the Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, that's where they will lose a battle 10 times out of 10. You have to muddy it up and muck it up if you're the less talented team. And that's exactly the way that Houston's been going about it. And physicality is not favoring the Warriors for 2 reasons. One, because of the fact that Steph is not getting nearly as many calls as he does in the regular season, or he has, to be quite frank, in playoff series of the past. No. But it's also a thing that they're old. Yeah. Older teams don't like physicality. And the physicality kind of reached a tipping point. That Jimmy Butler fall was one of the worst.
And let's get that out of the way here real quick. I am an arbiter of what is and what isn't dirty in the NBA. Like I have my rulings on them. There was nothing dirty in that from Amen Thompson. Nothing.
It looked like it was
a very bad fall.
He
was not dirty.
Missed a bunny, was following his shot, tried to split between 2 people, and he got pinched on the legs. And as he was kind of trying to weasel his way through, Draymond gave him a little bit of an elbow, kind of shoulder through. And I don't think it was like even anything that warranted a foul on Draymond Green, even. But at the same time, it's what made Thompson kind of vault even further forward.
He couldn't get his hips back underneath him, and instead of going up, he went out. Yeah. And I'd look, physical, yes. Feisty, yes. I have never, in all of the intel and everything, and all of the Amen Thompson and Asar Thompson tape that I've ever watched, never has there ever any time been a dirty play that I've seen from either of those guys.
Yeah.
Never. There was nothing dirty in it. And Jimmy Butler's friend is on Twitter right now talking about how I've watched basketball my whole life and that was intentional and blah, blah, blah. I love Jimmy Butler and I don't want him to be hurt. That fall was bad. When it happened in real time, look, you can say what you want about Jimmy and all the extra stuff. Jimmy is tough as nails.
That's why people don't like him, because he's just a pit bull.
When he stays on the ground like that, he's in real pain.
Yeah, I didn't think it was dirty. I thought it was a scary play.
Yes.
And there's a big difference between the two of those things. I won't go as far as to say it was dirty really at all.
No.
It's actually kind of what every guy's taught to do, is follow your shot, right? Mm-hmm. That's what Thompson was doing, and he got caught up in the mess. It wasn't like he dove in between two players to take Jimmy Butler out.
No, this isn't diving at somebody's legs,
Yeah.
Draymond.
The first angle that I saw of it, it looked like Draymond shoved him into Jimmy Butler.
When you see the top down, though, you see that's not
But
the case.
then there was a baseline view that it changed. It changed how I thought about it, because I thought the dirty part of it was on Draymond Green, not Amen Thompson at first. It turns out I don't think it was dirty on anybody.
Yeah.
It was an accident. It was scary. I hope Jimmy Butler's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he will be.
Because if he's not, they're cooked.
And I think they might be cooked.
Yeah. Because their offense, when it turns into as great as Steph is, without Jimmy and having that second pillar, they don't have anything.
But let's also remember, though, it took 8 threes from Jalen Green.
Look, Jalen Green.
8!
Look, Jalen Green does not have a
Yeesh, what a
median
game.
outcome. He is not a median outcome guy. It is either nothing or everything. And his shots that he was hitting last night, they were insane. But this is what they need from him. They need him to be this guy. And you look up and down the box score, it's like Van Vliet goes 2 of 8. Shengun was fine. 17, 16, and 7 is a hell of a performance. And I think he's all reliable, as it were. But you got 4 out of 7 out of Amen Thompson, 6 out of 12 out of Dylan Brooks. Your only bench scoring came from Tari Eason, who had a nice night, 6 of 9, 2 of 2 from 3. But like if you look at the final line, 45, 38, 80, like that's a good day at the office for the Rockets. Like they're just not a good offensive team, particularly in the half court. But what they have done is they have mucked up this series. I mean, they are physical at point of attack. They are physical on cutters. If you want to talk about dirty or the gamesmanship of the playoffs, Tari Eason and Dylan Brooks, they know how to do it. Did you see Tari throw a Pajemski to the floor?
Yeah. And now there is in plays like that, it's warranted. Well, most of the minutes that Dylan Brooks plays are also like this.
Oh, the double dive.
Plays like that, though, are where the complaints from Warrior fans are warranted. And they're happening far more in this series than Golden State has been familiar with. It's one of those things, it's playoff basketball, and it's going to be physical, and there's going to be those dirty and borderline plays. And look, that's why I think the Amen Thompson thing is being called dirty, is because of everything else that happened in the game, and in really game 1 too, as well. But at the same time, if you're Houston, that's the only way you're going to win this series. It's the only way you're going to win this game.
It's the only way they're beating anybody. It's not because they're not, quote unquote good enough, but this is not a coincidence. This is who they are.
Yeah.
They are physical, they are nasty, they get after you. They've got a bunch of big dudes that are just going like this is what I was talking about when I said I think the games are best played at around 104. Final last night was 109-94. And like you get to see big strong dudes be big strong dudes. Now, on that same token, you get to see 2 big strong guys in Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green. Both have the equal amount of egregiousness on a flop. Did you see that play where Brooks ran into Draymond and they both sent themselves flying?
And I like that.
I
like the fact that both of them did it, and you're just sitting. Everybody's just watching and being like,
"You idiots,
dumb."
Just, it wasn't Dylan Brooks at Oregon level of flop, and I don't think anything will ever beat
you're
that.
talking the Utah play.
It's probably the worst flop ever.
Yeah, he needed to go to acting school after that.
I mean,
Canada has sent us a lot of great actors. Dylan Brooks is not one of them.
No, God, no. It was egregious. But now I picked Houston to win this series, and this is why.
Yeah.
I did not think like if you have Jimmy, you definitely have more than a chance because Jimmy's about those games. Jimmy will put his shoulder into you. He'll knock you over. He'll mix it up. He's not going to back down from that. Neither will Draymond. And nobody's going to, like, don't get me wrong, like, they've bodied Steph, but Steph isn't getting clubbed to the floor.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've mentioned this before. Draymond Green, his purpose is defense and being the connector, but it's also having him out there. You're not going to hard foul Steph Curry or anybody else ever because he's going to act a fool and he'll knock somebody out.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The Rockets have the number 1 guy in the NBA in the last 20 years on their roster for do not bleep around and find out. And he's probably been the biggest key in this series. and he doesn't score. It's Steven Adams. You do not act a fool when Steven Adams is on the floor. And I know people are like, oh, yeah, tough. I'm just telling you what other NBA players have told me. You do not act a fool with Steven Adams on the floor.
I love Steven Adams.
He is the key to this series, not just his physicality and the tone setting, what they are doing on the offensive glass. They had 20. What was the final score? I'm sorry. They've only finished, the Warriors finished with 7 offensive rebounds. The Rockets finished with 11. I believe they are now a plus 26 in offensive rebounds in the series. And they went double big last night for long stretches with Şengün and Adams. And without Jimmy on the floor, they just don't have the physicality to combat that.
Not one bit. I have looked up timeline for pelvic contusion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen often.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever bruised your butt, you know that hurts. But it's not a tailbone injury. This is a pelvic contusion.
I'll tell you right now, anything with the pelvis doesn't feel good.
But it requires either a couple of games or a couple of weeks, depending on the severity.
Or one really good Toradol shot. And boy, do they know about those in Golden State.
But I just don't think you can have the movement, though, that you need to play basketball with that.
Yeah, if Jimmy's out for a week, it's done. It's done.
Wait, NBA, what's their schedule look like, though?
It actually speeds up.
It
goes every other day after game 4.
They play on the 26th, so they actually have a little bit of a. I mean, if it were to happen, Wednesday to Saturday is a good break.
Yep.
Then they have Monday, and then they play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So, like, optimistically, if he has to miss 2 games, you'll see him by game 5 in Houston,
and it might be
where
3-1.
Yeah, that's brutal, dude.
You don't have Jimmy for 2 games. It's not impossible, but it's very hard for me to see the Warriors winning.
You
those
may
games.
be able to peel one off because you're at home, maybe, but you're losing home court.
Tough place to be.
Yep.
I will say though, I love this series so far. Love everything about it.
It's nice.
All right, coming up next, while the draft is 2 hours and 42 minutes and 22 seconds away, the intel is starting to heat up. The newsbreakers are dropping all sorts of chicken nuggets for everybody to munch on before the draft. We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Welcome back to Danny and Dusty, where we are just counting down the draft. We're now 2 hours and 36 minutes and 45 seconds away. I'm just going to keep referencing that clock as long as they keep it up there.
We have a trade.
We have a trade.
The Texans are trading a 2025 fifth-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick to the Browns for a 2025 sixth-round pick, another 2025 sixth-round pick, and a 2025 seventh-round pick.
So 2 fifths for 2 sixths and a seventh.
Yes.
Okay.
You're a loser.
That's not a real trade. Do not get my hopes up with that malarkey. Who are you?
My ears perked up, and I was like, I saw the Schefter one. And I was like, I just kind of went by it because I saw fifth, and I'm like, I don't care.
I saw Rappaport that says trade.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it works.
Anyway,
but no, that there is.
Girl, you something else.
There are
Rust over here.
little PFT commenter said it's like when you land in Vegas and put a quick 20 in the slot machine at the airport gate. Got to get that blood going a little bit with some early action.
You know,
Yeah, well, he's not wrong.
the first time I ever took my wife to Vegas, which was 3-4 years ago, we managed to leave without gambling a single penny.
Who are you?
Dude, it felt weird. Like not even at the airport.
I'm disgusted.
Look. She was never that interested in it. She just wanted to walk around and see all the stores and sites and everything else.
Man,
I know. Look, we did the next time. It was taken care of.
I'm still judging.
That's fair.
A lot of people do that. I get it.
It was not intentional.
I'm just
I will say that.
so sad
Yeah, I know.
for you.
When we got on the
thrill.
plane home, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How did that happen? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, you were with me when I wasn't working every second. So I blamed her.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Do it.
Aditi Kinkabwala, reporter for NFL CBS or CBS NFL, had this to kind of kick things off earlier in the rumor mill.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told that I should not be surprised if Shedeur Sanders drops out of the first round.
Bum, bum, bum. This also comes after a tweet that Shedeur sent earlier today that said, I'm built for whatever today may bring. And people are like, oh.
It may be a rough day for you.
Well, I would be surprised if he was not drafted today. I really would. And the reasons why I'd be surprised, he is the second most talented quarterback in this class. I do think that. It is very close between he and Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of a gap, and then you have Tyler Shuck. But the fifth year is so alluring to teams. And think of the teams that have the top 2 picks in the second round. Top 2 picks of the second round are Cleveland at 33, New York Giants at 34. Those are 2 teams that are needing a quarterback. And the capital to move up, if you are even Cleveland, all right? Say they get down and the Chiefs are on the clock at 31 and time's running down. Cleveland is like, you know what? I just want to we need to get our quarterback. We want to have that 5th-year option. Let's get on the horn with Howie Roseman. Howie, you're going to move back 1 spot. You're not taking Shedeur Sanders. We want him, and we want that 5th year. What's it going to take? Now, Howie's going to leverage him, and he's going to say, all right, bud, here's the deal. We want a 5th-year option on whoever we take, too, so you're going to have to give up a little bit more. But the freight isn't going to be that much to move up 1 spot when they're going to get their guy. So I can definitely see him going in the first round, especially at 32.
Well, you mentioned that Browns team, and Diana Rossini is reporting that hours from the start of the draft, Browns GM Andrew Berry has been actively listening to offers for the number 2 overall pick, and many believe he's willing to move a few spots back.
That is the first pivot point of the draft that we were talking about earlier, and it's jockeying for position for Ashton Genty, but it's also, when you're talking about moving up to 2, it's Abdul Carter. It is a team that goes, I want, I need. And if it's New England at 4, and they're sitting in there going, we want Abdul Carter. I need Abdul Carter. Mike Vrabel's saying, I want him in my life. that's not a big move for Cleveland. And it also shows you Cleveland may not be in love with Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
They got a Myles Garrett. Now, if I'm Cleveland, I'm saying, if I don't love Travis Hunter, I'm taking Abdul Carter, and I'm saying, guess what, Joe Burrow?
Have fun.
Guess what, Lamar Jackson? I've got both of my edges set, and guess
they're
what?
both freaks.
Whoever Pittsburgh's quarterback is, we're going to pin our ears back, and we're going to get you.
You better be able to run the ball.
But
run the ball.
Cleveland going to Cleveland. And what they're doing right now, they're floating that for if you get a sweetheart of a deal. If you have somebody that is truly in love and they're willing to give up way more than what your draft chart, and look, everybody goes back to the Jimmy Johnson draft chart of what picks are valued.
Mm-hmm.
Every single team has their own analytics department, which has their own valuations of what picks mean.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get above what your team and your crew believes number 2 is worth, then you're probably going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's exponentially. Now, the key thing in that tweet from Diana Rossini is a couple of spots.
Mm-hmm.
You're not moving down outside of the top 5 or 6 because that's where
the cutoff.
This draft of the talented players really drops.
Mm-hmm. Interesting enough, also Diana Rossini reporting that the Bears are among teams making calls in an attempt to trade up. Teams believe Chicago is trying to move up from 10 in an effort to land Ashton Genty.
I saw earlier Genty's still the favorite on the betting sites to be drafted at number 5, but the team, the favorite team for his services is the Bears, not the Jaguars, who currently sit at number 5.
They need to get ahead of Vegas.
Don't do this to me.
Don't
do this to me.
They have really two chances to do that.
Dusty, I'm invested now.
And it's New England or Jacksonville.
I'm invested
to trade.
now. I don't want this.
Now, they have to move from 10. It's going to take some freight.
It better hurt.
It's going to take some freight.
Ashton Genty, for those that don't know, wearing a black suit with silver accents.
I saw some gold in there too.
He had his logo gold, but he had all his pocket square and everything else was all silver.
Well, you can change a pocket square really quickly. If
Bears don't wear black,
I would love to see Ashton Genty in Chicago.
Jaguars do.
Oh God, black and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Oh no. In Chicago, he'd be a lot of fun.
I know he would.
He would be a ton of fun there.
I want nice things.
And Jacksonville is the team to look at because all of the rumblings and the rumors coming out of Jacksonville are that Duval wants to go out and get a big body receiver for Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Taking Tetairoa McMillan at 5 would not be,
I don't think that's a reach,
conducive to that. 10 makes a lot more sense. And then you have a big target for your quarterback who's hurt and has problems throwing to short guys.
Also, just a bit ago from Diana, the Broncos and Texans are attempting to move up in the draft order while the Giants are trying to acquire a second first-round pick at the end of the round.
Yeah, makes sense. They want to get a quarterback.
It's all kind of falling into place. And speaking of falling into place, one of the directors of analytics for ESPN, Seth Walder, has a story out. It's actually from last year, but he kind of updated it and added some context to it of the value of trading back and why it matters and why the best teams take advantage of it. We'll get to that next. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
This is Draft Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the first round of the NFL Draft is just a couple hours away, looking at about 2.5, and there are still many questions. It does appear to be a lock, though. The Titans will select Miami quarterback Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. We'll have full coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 4 o'clock. Primetime, we'll go to the podium for picks starting at 5 o'clock. 3 game threes tonight in the NBA. First up at 4 o'clock on TNT, the Pistons stole home court from the Knicks in New York, but the Knicks are now 1.5-point road favorites in Detroit. In the second half of the doubleheader, the Grizzlies looking to avoid an 0-3 hole to the Thunder in Memphis. The Grizzlies are 9.5-point dogs. Then at 7 o'clock on NBA TV from Los Angeles, Clippers and Nuggets tied at 1 game each. The Clips are 5.5-point favorites. Mariners have wrapped up their road trip, taking 2 of 3 from the Red Sox for their first series win in Boston since 2014. Mitch Garver with a 2-run double. Brian Wu gets the win, 6 innings, 2 runs on 3 hits and a walk with 8 strikeouts. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan.
Well, the NFL Draft is now 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 2 seconds away. It's almost all twos, make a wish, whatever it is that people do that believe in astrology. I don't know. Clocks, stars, crystals.
I think it's great. I am pro astrology.
You would be.
No,
You
I'm
spent
not.
time down there in
That
the
was
world.
the biggest red flag of all time, is if they were super into what's your sign.
Oh, yeah. I see that stuff.
Never
up on
go to a
social
second
media,
location.
And I'm like, no, thank you.
Well, you just don't go to the second location. That's the 30 Rock. What is Alec Baldwin's character's name in 30 Rock?
I forget it. I never watched that a ton.
I used to watch it all the time, but he always said, never go to a second location with a hippie. And boy,
Yeah.
did that quote
Yeah.
not speak to me. I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? My experience says, yeah, that's correct.
That's definitely a place you definitely don't want to go to. A place you might want to go to. Seth Walder is one of the analytics writers and directors for ESPN, particularly dealing with the NFL. And so it doesn't matter what sport you're in. Every team, every broadcast agency, every scouting group, bar two, when we talk about him in College Football Matrix and the stuff that they do, they all look to quantify value of players, draft slotting, the Jimmy Johnson rule. You brought it up earlier. It's the Jimmy Johnson index, which was the first like real attempt at calculating expected versus annual value of rate of return on draft capital, players, slotting, all those things. Everybody has their own different computations and formulas behind this stuff. And every year somebody's trying to find some new metric to kind of dial it in a little bit further. Seth Walder has an article from last year that he brought back up that highlights all of the different like real world examples of teams that have traded back and has different lenses of which to view them through. Whether it was the Jimmy Johnson chart, where the real life example he cites in 2022, the Chiefs traded picks number 29, 94, and 121 to the Patriots to move up 8 spots to 21 and take Trent McDuffie.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, what's wrong with that? Trent McDuffie is an all-pro. Well, it's not that taking him necessarily is wrong. If you're in that spot, taking him is the right move. But when you look at it, this is the thing, is you can't look at it as a single year. And the only teams that can do that are no doubt dyed-in-the-wool Super Bowl contenders right here, right now, no BS. And even then, you have to be careful, which is why Philadelphia has been so good about maximizing their returns of immediate impact guys at the right value slots.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about the moving up only if you're a contending team, because there's also minimal holes to fill to take you to the next. I think the idea is if your team can be taken to the next level, right? You go from fringe playoff team to conference contender. If you can do that, but it's the Super Bowl contender. Yes. If you are a team that the Chicago Bears are a great example of this right now. The result, the win-loss record did not indicate they should be making moves to move up. Hell yeah, they should, because they have it right now.
And this is why you have the analytics department and why you have your front office.
Yep.
Because there needs to be a delineation.
Yes.
Because you have to have, look, here's the cold hard math of this. And I don't want an organization to run fully on spreadsheets. You can't. But it's great that you brought that up, because there's an exact example of that. And we'll get to it with Will Anderson and the Texans, right? The one here is, according to ESPN's their own internal data, the Chiefs paid a 56% premium in this deal to move up. In other words, they gave up the equivalent of an extra late second round pick, early third round pick to get this done, based on their own charting of this. And with that, if you're talking about building a team up, that's why it's important. Because by giving up that additional capital, you're subtracting that away from the value of the deal that you just made.
Yeah. And you have to have the idea, and when you say late second, early third round pick,
that's a starter.
This is where you go, what round projections are. And second and third round picks are not Pro Bowlers, they are starters and then contributors near the mid and end of third round. Then you get fourth round is contributor to the team. Fifth round is
special teams.
Well, it's a flyer. It's a flyer on a guy. a la like you're gonna probably hear this around Dylan Gabriel in the late 4th and 5th round. Is Dylan Gabriel, his measurables aren't there, but his immeasurables are through the roof. We don't know how that's gonna go, but we're gonna roll the dice on it.
Sure.
We're gonna see where it goes with us. And then 6th and 7th round guys are, we'll see.
They flash something.
Yes.
Okay, now you brought up the whole like the our guy. We're gonna go get our guy kind of situation. The real life example that he cites here is the 2011 Saints dealing a 2012 first round pick to move up to number 56, or from 56 to number 28 to select Mark Ingram. And this has a lot to do with Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis, the individuals, as it were. They loved Mark Ingram. It was the idea of falling in love with that guy, and you were going to go get your guy. But if you take a look at the value for this, he charted this. There were 140 trade-ups for non-quarterbacks in the first 3 rounds from 2013 to 2022. So in terms of the approximate value, 85 of those deals were won by the trade-down team.
Yep. It's
the vast majority.
No doubt about it, because it is really hard to get up in the what's amazing to me, though, is that it's the first 3 rounds. Not just the first round, because
you found plenty of studs in the 2nd and 3rd rounds.
Yeah. And you're talking trade up means jumping just a couple of spots even. And we do see that quite often.
That's
is
what it
you
sounds
jump
like.
a couple of spots in the 3rd round, you give up, and a 5th and a 6th, and then you move on. It doesn't quantify how big that jump is. But you do see it quite often in the 1st round, where it's like, we want that guy in the 1st round so badly. Mark Ingram was a hit. The other ones, they're often whiffs because you give up too much to make that haul worth it.
The one way I mentioned with Will Anderson, the Texans giving up the 12-33 and a 2024 first and a 2024 third to move up to number 3 to take Will Anderson. According to that matrix, they paid about a 70% tax to move up. The only non-quarterback since 2004 with a higher trade-up value, Julio Jones.
Yeah, worth it, though.
Here's the thing.
Both those guys, worth it.
Caserio isn't, quote-unquote, Walter's not saying he's wrong to do this. He is saying the process is wrong.
You have to be sold on him.
And again, Will Anderson has been a dude. I am. When they made that trade, I was like, whoa, they must believe in him, and it's paid for them.
Yeah.
But the premium that they paid was essentially another 1st round pick.
But I think, bringing it back to home in the Blazers, I would love for the Blazers to pay more to get a guy who makes that difference that Will Anderson makes.
Sure.
Pay that freight.
No, the freight in the NBA is significantly steeper.
I know, but if it's a 70% tax on what the going business is to get that guy, we would all love it, and we would all want it to happen, because the reality is this team isn't going to do it unless you go and you make that a move in that regard.
I'd push back against it if the freight is that high, simply because you find yourself in a Suns-like position, because the amount of assets and leverage is a lot tighter in the NBA than it is the NFL.
I would love for them to do a swing for the fences move.
They better be better than Will Anderson.
Hmm.
That's what I'd say to that. I bring all of this up, and the one I really wanted to bring up was the Buffalo Bills and trading for Sammy Watkins. In the interview for this paper, they had the Bills front office on the record. Ownership had missed the playoffs since 1999, and they just didn't care. Like in the sense of like, go do whatever you have to do just to get in the playoffs. And so there's all these different levers that you have to pull, left, right, and center, front office, analytics department, ownership, relationships everywhere. And good GMs can find that spot to where it makes sense.
Yep.
The bad ones don't.
Nope.
All right, when we get back, you watching playoffs, you watching draft. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
It's
Well, for the first time in what feels like a week, the draft clock is not on the TV as we come back from a break.
Hot damn.
Unbelievable.
Look at that.
We're 2 hours and I think 12 minutes away from the NFL, or 12 minutes, 8 minutes away from the NFL draft. And while the NFL draft does kick off at 5 o'clock, tonight, Dusty, for your viewing pleasure, Knicks Pistons, 4 o'clock, 6:30 tip, Thunder Grizzly, 7 p.m., Nuggets Clippers.
On NBA TV. What is the NBA doing, putting that game on NBA TV?
Not only is it on NBA TV, if you're in Denver and you do not have Altitude TV, you cannot get the game without getting a free 3-day pass that all of the NBA talent, I should say the Denver Nuggets talent, is pimping on social media right now because their TV situation is so broken.
That sucks. That sounds familiar.
No, you never missed a playoff game here.
What if you didn't have Comcast?
No, they got picked up nationally. There was never that.
Well,
was never...
NBA TV. If there was this situation, would have happened on NBA TV, which the Clipper series I think did when they played the Clippers. Because I remember there was a big problem with trying to find the games.
Well, this is blacked out on NBA TV,
and that's ridiculous.
That's the thing is that was never the issue here.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah, and you had multiple options. You didn't have to have Altitude.
That sucks.
It's absolutely bonkers. But you have two of the best series so far in Clippers Nuggets and Pistons Knicks.
That should be your TNT back-to-back. Chuck nailed it when he said that game should not be on NBA TV.
No.
But we'll be able not to watch the Thunder Grizzlies game because that series is going to be...
Don't watch it.
So I'm going to watch probably 45 minutes of Piston Knicks, and then it goes to secondary screen. Then it's NFL draft, and then it's going to be tough with that Nuggets Clippers series on which one gets the main stage.
Yeah, I'm definitely going split screen tonight.
Main stage.
Cinnamon.
All right.
No?
No, you're right. I think you've missed your calling, Rust. You could have been a great strip club DJ.
You would go Cinnamon and not Diamond.
Yeah. It would have been hard with Yacht Rock that you play, but...
I've seen worse.
Yeah. All right, that does it for us. We'll be back to break down the first round of the NFL draft tomorrow and all the NBA musings. Up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. It's primetime with Isaac and Buck. Nemec is going to join at 5 o'clock for all of the draft musings, and then you got the recruiting show after that. Have a great Thursday. See you Friday right here on The Fan.
Bye.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Danny Marang here. Guess what? It's springtime. The best time to get those home projects you put on the back burner taken care of.